Do senior rater comments matter? Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and recently I posted a video where I shared the 2 questions that I propose everybody should ask their senior rater as soon as possible. Number 1, what problems does your senior rater want to see go away? And number 2, who does your senior rater recommend that you get advice from? Of course, all of this has to do with that underlying question, which you should never be so crass as to ask, but the underlying question of, what do I got to do to get a top block? I mean, how do you convince your senior rater that you have more potential than other officers in the same grade? And there's one point that quickly popped up in the comments that runs along the lines of, it's okay to get a center of mass rating as long as you get a good write-up. This is a common argument that you're going to hear from senior raters and even the rated, but I would suggest that it is wrong in a very specific way. Or maybe what I should say is that a low potential rating paired with good verbiage is okay only at specific points in your career. Here's what I mean. If you're going to a promotion selection board that's going to have a selection rate of over 50%, that means that some people are going to be selected who have, well, I'll say below average ratings. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that if you're going to select 72% of all eligible captains to be promoted to major, then you're going to have to select some captains with a lot of center of mass ratings. But if the promotion board is going to have a selection rate of 30% or 20%, well, in that case, the board is only looking for people with very good paper. Certainly in my own career and in the careers of the folks that I mentored, that shift from the boards selecting more than 50% to the boards selecting less than 50% happened at the 06 Colonel Board. What that meant is that for selection to captain and major and lieutenant colonel, the selection board was going to have to pick from the lower end of the OER distribution. And as a result, the senior rater comments mattered. You see, when selection rates are high, the real decision that the board is making is, who do we not want to promote? I mean, which ones of these officers with lukewarm potential as assessed by their senior rater do we really not want in positions of greater responsibility? Well, in that situation, those senior rater comments are going to matter a great deal. A center of mass rating with glowing text tells the board that, yeah, this is an average guy, but he's the good kind of average. While a center of mass rating with frigid comments, well, it tells the board, this guy is average. You understand what I'm saying, right? So the folks who say that a center of mass rating plus a good write-up equals a good OER, well, they're right all the way up until that point where you become a lieutenant colonel and you're trying to build a packet that tells a colonel selection board that you would make a great colonel. And let me just say this, I am not against people who are not chasing 06. Being a colonel is not what you call fun, and you can certainly contribute mightily as a lieutenant colonel. But if you are a newly selected lieutenant colonel who has dreams of pinning on bird colonel, well, then the relationship between top blocks and good verbiage, it's going to shift. Center of mass ratings with good verbiage are going to tell the board that, you know, he's a good guy, but he's not one of my best. And bear this in mind, well, at least this was true during my time in the Army, was that there is a very narrow window between selection for lieutenant colonel and that colonel's board. Most officers are only going to get 4, maybe 5 OERs before they hit their primary zone. And that means that there are just not a lot of bites at the apple for good, solid, top-notch OERs. And so the officer who holds on to that idea of good enough is good enough, which was true up until this point, well, they might be surprised by the decisions of the Colonel's Board. Now, I have probably upset some folks with these comments, and that was not really my intent. Honestly, I know some people whose last happy day in uniform was the day they pinned on Colonel. So as much as I say that once you make Lieutenant Colonel, you want to be getting top block ratings, you certainly don't want to do it by behaving in a way that's inconsistent with your natural personality. I mean, if you fake it till you make it, and then you make it, the faking gets that much harder. There is real wisdom in just being genuine and letting the chips fall where they may. And if you want to see the behaviors that folks are really looking for in colonels, and therefore these are the behaviors that rising lieutenant colonels want to demonstrate, well, watch this video to see the difference between a good colonel and a great colonel.